Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
May the force be with you, Jen.
Oh, may the force be with you, Dave.
Hey, guys, it's the Main Street Electrical Podcast. My name is Dave, and this is Jen. We're, of course, part of Upon Star Travel and Concierge. I work there. Jen owns there, and yeah, it's all kinds of good fun. And this is the 94th episode of the Main Street Electrical Podcast. I can't even keep up.
Wow,
it's somewhere in the 90s.
Know.
I don't even know. It's just, it all runs together of how great of a time I have talking to you about Disney, Jen. That's all I gotta say. So,
I can't think of anything better.
Right? Top of the show, we always ask, how did you do Disney this week? I'm going to guess yours has something to do with a galactic spaceship voyage cruise thing. How did you Disney this week, Jen?
Yeah, I Disney this week by going on the Galactic Starcruiser to Galaxy Far, Far Away. So that was fun. We'll talk about that maybe.
No, yeah, well, definitely. That's the episode today. We're going to talk about the Star Cruiser. We'll have a little bit of news coming up, just some kind of fun topics, but then we'll get into the Star Cruiser. Jen will give her spoiler-free review. And let me just say at the top of the episode, we're going to do spoiler-free. At the very end of the episode, after Katrina sings us off and says, hey, here's all the great things you can find, where you can find us. At the end of the episode, we're going to come back and do 2 or 3 minutes of spoilers. Jen will kind of give some reveals, kind of like, hey, if you want to know and, whatever, here's what's happening, here's what you'll see, including some special characters and things like that. So we'll get to that later on. You will have plenty of notice. So if you were spoiled, it is all on you, folks. We can only do so much for you. It's all on you. But also, you went to the Flower and Garden Festival, correct?
I did, yeah. Flower and Garden opened.
Now, let's just ask you, how was that? I mean, give me some highlights real quick. How was that, Flower and Garden Festival?
Flower and Garden is always one of my favorites. I just think it's so beautiful.
One of your 4 favorite festivals at Epcot, I'm assuming.
It's one of my 4 favorites. No, but this is like my top favorite.
I love it.
Also, like maybe tied with Festival of the Arts because I love that one. But I mean, they're all great.
They really are.
They're really all good. But no, I mean, everything was just absolutely beautiful. Of course, the food booths, I had my violet lemonade. So that was delicious. And it's a new merch and a lot of merch.
Yes, I saw
a lot of merch, like more than years past. I felt like I was like, oh, okay.
They're really leaning into the Orange Bird, which is cool.
Yeah.
So and correct me if I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm missing. Maybe I forgot about years past. But it's kind of the Orange Bird, kind of the Flower and Garden Festival. I know Spike the Bee, but do you think Spike and maybe Orange Bird are kind of the two festival?
Those are definitely the festival leads. So Orange Bird has been resurging, and I feel like last year was a lot, and then even more so this year. They're really leaning into it because people are loving him, and I feel like Spike the Bee, as far as I know, was just literally created for the festival.
Right.
Which makes sense, like a bee, flower to flower, the whole pollen thing. They had quite a bit of Spike merchandise, which I feel like in the past I haven't seen. So I think they're trying to maybe get some traction with Spike as well. But I mean, Orange Bird definitely making a big representation as well. So
I wonder how many people out there, especially the young folk, like yourself, Jen, how many people out there would know that Orange Bird is not it's not a new character. Like, it's been around quite a while, and now it's resurging versus people going, oh, I love the new Orange Bird. You would think the teens, the younger people in their 20s, they probably haven't seen Orange Bird until recently. Yeah, so I'm just wondering how many people think it's a new character, and it's really not. Spike the Bee is. It kind of reminds me of, in a way, kind of like Duffy. And I know Duffy is big in Japan, but I feel like just kind of this character from out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, here it is. There's Spike the Bee. I like Spike the Bee. Can't stand Duffy. Yeah. Hate Duffy. I'm so annoyed by Duffy. Spike the Bee is cool, though. I like Spike the Bee. I do.
Well, Spike the Bee's pretty innocuous. He just kind of shows up for fun.
I see Olaf kind of as the Festival of the Holidays character. That's kind of the main character. Figment being food and wine.
Figment is food. No, not. Figment is Festival of the Arts. Festival of the Arts.
Festival of the Arts. What about food and wine? What is do you remember who our main character is on that one? Or do we have one? Remy,
right? Yeah. How do we?
I was like, there's got to be one there. Remy,
I'm like, I know there is one, but why am I not and in my head, I'm like, okay, it's the scavenger hunt. Who do we hunt for during Food and Wine Festival? Right. Oh, that's right. It's Remy. It's Remy.
It is Remy. I Disney this week by setting up our Sunshine Flyers. Flyers. I did this morning.
Nice.
I'm so excited. Now we actually should do an episode on MCO and transfers and all that good stuff, because there's a lot of information out there. People don't know about this stuff. They're like, now that Magical Express is gone, they're just standing there at the airport going, what do we do? I don't know where to go. I got my suitcases in my hand. What do I do?
Right.
So we should probably talk about that more in depth later. But so Sunshine Flyers is kind of the new kid on the block.
Yes.
And they've got the buses that look like trains. They look like they're designed with trains on the side. My kid loves trains, so I know we're excited about this. Of course, the downside is they're a brand new company. They're still getting the kinks worked out. I had a client that messaged me yesterday, and he got the Sunshine Flyer. They said they had no problems. They loved the bus.
Good.
Everything was fantastic. They loved it. I've heard other times that the Sunshine Flyers, maybe they're late in the pickups. I don't know the scenario. Maybe late in the pickup here and there or whatever. But you know what? Mears is having some of that too because of the surge of business. So I would tell you out there, if you're going to do that, just pack your patience. If you don't want to splurge for a private transfer like an SUV or a sedan or a van, which Disney now offers for a charge, if you don't want to splurge for that, just pack your patience. And if you're flying in at 11:30 at night, you may expect to have to take a little longer than you normally would have with the Magical Express. If you're flying in at 2 in the afternoon, maybe you might be 30 minutes longer than you thought. Just pack your patience with that and plan a little extra time with that if you can. But the process for Sunshine Flyers is very easy. You go to the website. It's a very easy setup. Doesn't cost much money. I think it was like $18 a person for one way. We're just doing one way because we're renting a car on the way back. Process is easy, but it's another step of like, my vacation's in 3 weeks. I got a vacation coming in 3 weeks. We'll be here for 8 days. I'm so excited. Port Orleans Riverside. We've been trying for Saratoga Springs, and we just can't quite make it happen because everything's booked up. Everything's solid. It's crazy right now.
Yeah,
it's
is
busy, but we're real excited. So that leads us into kind of our first little news story as we talk about a little bit of news. So this story here is basically at a Q&A session held with Morgan Stanley's 2022 Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference. Disney Chief Financial Officer Christine McCarthy answered some important questions, and there's two that we'll talk about. And the first question was, have the parks returned to full capacity? She has said now that Disney has no intention of increasing capacity at Walt Disney World back to the pre-pandemic levels because Disney's trying to manage things differently with the help of the park reservation system. So park reservation system, for those of you who don't know, it's basically, and I have clients who still ask me this because they're like, we have a ticket. What do you mean we have to sign up for a park? You do. You have to, whether you get a ticket for next week, and some parks are still open, or Thanksgiving, go online and say, you know what, I've got a 5-day ticket. On Monday, we're going to go to Magic Kingdom. On Tuesday, we're going to go to Epcot. On Wednesday, we're going to go back to Magic Kingdom. Thursday, a day off. You have to tell Disney when you're going. Because if you show up at the parks with your ticket and no park reservation, they're not going to let you in.
Correct.
Now, you might get lucky, and you might be like, okay, there's still availability. I'm at Epcot. There's still availability. I'm going to go on my app real quick and set it up. Okay, now I have reservations. I can go on in. If you're somewhere like Hollywood Studios, which tends to fill up the fastest, or Magic Kingdom, which is the most popular, you can't get in. And there is no like, but I bought a ticket. You're right, but you had to tell Disney when you were coming and where you were going. So that's the big thing. So apparently, according to Disney and according to the Disney executives, they're not returning to pre-pandemic levels. So because they're busy, they're so busy right now. I mean,
they really are.
Busy.
I was just there in for early March, which I know that it's getting close to spring break.
Right.
I was like, we're like height of spring break levels already, and it was, I mean, granted, it was a weekend, but still.
It's weird now because I feel like we have to start shifting our terminology, because right now we were like, our park's back at full capacity. Well, they're not. They're 70%, 80% of full capacity. They got to be at least 75%. But we're thinking about full capacity of what it was 2 years ago, what it was pre-pandemic, which was right at 2 years ago, by the way. So now I feel like when you see a park that's full, when you go online to do your park pass reservations, if you were, let's just say, Jen, you were like, we're going to go tomorrow. Brady and I are going to fly up for lunch and go to Epcot and whatever, and Magic Kingdom is full. Well, guess what? Magic Kingdom has reached capacity. Its current capacity is reached. So when people are asking me now, are they back at capacity? I'm just telling them, yeah, they're hitting full capacity right now. For whatever capacity is for them, they're hitting full capacity. And honestly, it's just, I think, without digging too much in it, I think Disney is struggling a little bit to mitigate the crowds. I think Genie Plus, they intended on Genie Plus to being a really big help. I don't think it's been as big of a
No, I don't think it's helped as much as they thought.
Because rides are selling out so fast. Plus, we've spoken before, there's glitches, and the glitches are happening. And I do think that without the glitches, it might be a little better for people. But the glitches are happening. So, I mean, your thoughts on capacity? I mean, just in busyness.
I mean, like I said, it's busy because like there's not been a time that I've been over the past 2 to 3 trips that
Mhm.
have where I've said to myself, oh wow, this feels like the off season. Like
Right.
that, like everything has felt like quote normal crowds,
Right.
So I do think in a way that keeping that capacity capped is good because I have been pre-pandemic. Like
Mhm.
I was there 4th of July, shoulder to shoulder, like that gauntlet between I call it the gauntlet between
Yes.
Small World
As you're
and
walking between
Peter
Small World,
Pan
Peter Pan, and Haunted Mansion.
and
Yeah.
yes, like that. I'm talking sea of people you couldn't move. And when I say you couldn't move,
Mhm.
you you were not getting through, and people were like standing there, and eventually, I mean, because we know every single way to get everywhere in the
Right.
park, Brady and I were like and piecing out and going a different way. I mean, after about 10 minutes, I held up my phone and took a shot. It was
Right.
nuts. So I think not going back to those crowd levels is
Mhm.
good for everybody.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
just a
I
better
do too.
experience for everybody. But I do think like don't go saying like, oh well, this is usually not as busy. It's going to be busy, folks, when you go. Like just
Right.
period, end of story. It might not be where the whole park is sold out or
Mhm.
not available for other guests, but go expecting crowds. If you try to expect those glorious days, okay, they weren't glorious except for the crowds. Like the opening week, so July of 2020, when I walked in for the first time and I'm like, wait, are there
Mhm.
people here?
Right.
I've got the Magic Kingdom to myself. And other than wearing a mask, it was like the best thing ever. That's gone. That's
Yeah,
not a
that's
thing
gone.
anymore.
That's gone likely
That's
forever.
gone. You missed that.
Can you imagine, and for those who haven't been in a while, there used to be that little spot you're talking about, that gauntlet. The restrooms weren't there.
Right.
And it was like half as big of a space, half as big of
and they had
half as big
stroller
of a-
parking.
And they had stroller parking.
And they had
Can you
stroller parking.
imagine trying to do that gauntlet when there was only half the space there? When like the walk around through the restrooms weren't there, the wider
Oh my
spaces.
God.
That would be nuts.
But I have done the gauntlet then. It's like it's oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
In fact,
And so,
I think I sent you guys a chat that day, like, hang on, we're going through the gauntlet.
I saw that on Marco Polo. That's crazy.
Polo.
So, speaking of Christy McCarthy, she also talked about meet and greets, and she has said that meet and greets will return. Now, she didn't say when. She didn't say they were coming back, but she said that they're coming back soon. Now, we're seeing this over in Disneyland Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're getting some stuff. Like, I've seen the pictures of the kids hugging Pooh and hugging the other characters and stuff.
Yeah.
And, of course, we're just like, we want to hug Mickey. I will be so creepy with Rapunzel when I see her. I'll be like, hug! I mean, I'm so excited. Not even to be creepy, but more like, I can't wait to hug you. Oh, my God. Or Mickey or anybody. I just can't wait to put my arms around a big character that's not real. No, they are real. Rory, they're real. I promise. I mean, like, I just can't wait to hug those characters because the distance has been there for so long, and it's like, I just want that interaction. I want that closeness. And even if it's not hug, I want to be able to shake hands with Mickey or Olaf or whatever, just to do that. So she has said they're returning soon. And this leads us into something else we were talking about in the pre-show as we were kind of building up to this. Apparently, and I've seen this in 2 different spots now, I just found another article. Cinderella's Royal Table has their favorite princesses off to the side where you don't, like, traditionally, before pandemic, I guess, that is pre-pandemic.
Yeah, that is pre-pandemic.
Go in and you're sitting at the table and you're paying $70 for your meal, which the breakfast there was always great. The dinner was just okay. You're eating your eggs and your waffles and whatever. And of course, here comes Mulan to your table, and it's like, take pictures and yay. And, oh, here comes Snow White, and maybe she might be pretty, maybe she might not be. But here comes Belle, and here comes Mary Poppins, who's always pretty. Mary Poppins is never in it. Mary Poppins is always gorgeous every time I see her. She's not a princess, but she shows up.
She's practically perfect in every way, is what she
right?
is.
She really is. She's great. But then, of course, the pandemic happened, and all that was taken away. And now Cinderella would just come out and wave to the crowd. Hey, guys, how you doing? What's up? What's up? Hey, you, blah, blah, blah. Take pictures from afar. Apparently, they have a side room now where you meet some of the princesses going in there. And those princesses are kind of, it's like the Princess Fairy Tale Hall where they're set back behind a velvet rope. And so there's a distance from where they're standing to where you're standing. But it's more personal. You can interact with them. You can take some pictures. Hold, your family, hold the baby up there at the rope and get the princess behind you. So I think they're gearing up for this. I think they're gearing up for dining, and I think, and this is just me saying it. Do not take this as it's going to happen. I think the dining plans can't be too far behind when that happens, because I feel like once characters meet and greets are back, they're going to put the characters back. Like Kate May will get their characters back. Crystal Palace will get their characters back. Restaurants will be kind of at full capacity. As we talked about before, how the tables, I think, will come closer together.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like dining plan can't be far behind. Now, what that means is the characters have to be there first, so it may be September before they come back, and the dining plan may be next year. I don't know. But I'm just throwing it out there. I know Jen is saying for sure the dining plan is coming back like in October. You know,
What?
I can't confirm that, but, you know, that's what I heard. I mean, I could be wrong. But
I love how you just make things up.
well, you know, it happens a lot. So something else that I think is kind of fun, and I'm going to say the word free, which you don't hear at Disney a lot, which is awesome. Guests visiting Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival this year can take part in an activity, a brand new activity called the Garden Graze. Guests can take part in this challenge. They can pick up a special passport. They get stamped 5 times around World Showcase. They get a free completer treat at the Pineapple Promenade booth, a pineapple lime swirl Dole Whip. And it comes
that
with a
sounds good.
Souvenir cup you can take home. This, I think now they're doing this at each festival where they have like some sort of scavenger hunt or something with food. Cookies
A food scavenger hunt.
Food scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
We went to different kiosks and the cookies were only like $2.50 each. And I imagine these treats will be $2, $3, $4 or whatever. And you have each one all the way around World Showcase. You get a stamp on it. You show your stamp at the Pineapple Promenade, and they'll give you your treat. This past time was I'm going to hold it up here. It's got some pins in it.
Hold it up. What is it?
It's you can't even see here. It's a cookie
I
stroll
can't see
cup.
that at all.
Here.
Oh yeah, the cookie stroll.
Cookie stroll cup, and it had like peppermint mint ice cream, sundae swirl in it or whatever. And you got a free cookie to go with it. So yeah, they had that at the Festival of the Holidays. So I'm guessing every festival will have something like this, including the Garden Graze, which is kind of exciting. And so now we're going in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be totally digging out on the Garden Graze.
I would too. I want to know how that Dole Whip is. That sounds so good.
I'm going to want to spend like 4 days at Epcot. I'm like, because we always end up finding our way back to Epcot somehow, and I feel like we just need to go back to Epcot and just stay there the whole time. Kid, I know you want to ride Slinky Dog Dash. We'll get there, but right now we're going to go on the
But like right now we're going to
Cookie
Epcot.
Trail.
Sorry. This is for
The
mommy and
Graze.
daddy.
The
We
Graze.
do everything for you. This is mommy and daddy.
Exactly. Over at, that's right, mommy and daddy want to have some fun too. Let's go get a Dole Whip. So, over at Magic Kingdom, just real quick, the enchantment hours are changing. Of course, it's the fireworks show at night. Right now, it's at 8 p.m. every night. Changing to 9 p.m. on the 13th of March. We'll be changing to 9:20 every night on May the 16th. And people ask me all the time, when is enchantment? What time is the fireworks? Well, now you know. 8 p.m. until the 13th, and then until May 16th, it's 9 o'clock. Then it's 9:20 at night through the summer. Might even be later.
Which makes sense though, because as it gets lighter and lighter,
Exactly.
as it stays lighter later.
Yep. So I would guess by June it'll be like 10 o'clock or something. I don't know.
No, normally because the park doesn't typically close in the summer till like 10.
Right.
And then
Right.
yeah.
And finally, today is March 9th when we were recording this. The Festival of Fantasy Parade returns today. The Fire-Breathing Dragon returns. The Maleficent returns. The Stumping
Oh my gosh, I love the
Steampunk
dragon.
It's exciting. I get to see it. I know you missed it, but I get to see it, so I'm really excited. Although you guys will fly down probably mid-April. It'll be like, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's go to Disney World. Okay. And use your points for Copper Creek, 3-room suite, whatever. So, because that's just what Jen does, and it's okay.
Yep. That's it.
That's it.
I'm going to fight it.
Also, what Jen does is fly beyond the stars. That's right, to a galaxy far, far away, boarding the Hyperion, the Hyperion, the Halcyon. I keep saying Hyperion.
Halcyon, yeah,
Halcyon.
I mean, Hyperion Studio,
is a studio and a book division of Disney.
In a book division,
It was also the name of a street or a wharf in California back in the 20s. Whatever.
Yes. Anyway.
The Halcyon, which as our friend Kyla has reminded me, it's Halcyon. I spelled it differently. She was like, get it right. Couldn't yelled at me for that because she does that. Okay, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Starcruiser. Jen, you guys went last week. Now, you were kind of one of the first wave of people to come in. There were the people that went for free, the influencers that were invited by Disney. Not us, unfortunately. We'll get there. Hey, Josh.
No, I paid full price, so my
Guardians,
review you can take to the bank.
Marcy, Guardians, we need to go because we need to be able to review it on the show. But yes, you guys paid for this. And so we're going to kind of give an honest review here. I say we, meaning Jen. I'm going to ask lots of questions. We're going to give an honest review here. She's going to tell us overall. I know that you had a great time. You can let us know. There's some things that maybe Disney should improve on here and there. Some things to expect when you go. And at the end of the whole thing, we'll talk about whether it's worth it or not. Now, spoilers. We're going to keep this review spoiler free. There are some surprises, some hidden things in this particular adventure that you just want to see. You want to find out for yourself, and you can go digging through blogs and stuff, and I'm sure find all this information out. But from our show, we want to keep it secret. We want to keep it spoiler free until the end of the show. We're going to wrap the show up. Katrina will come on. She'll do her little thing. Dave and Jen, here's where we can find them. We love Katrina. And at the end of it, we're going to come back and do a little spoilerific part of the show, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of just some surprises, some things to expect, some fun things you didn't expect. So
Absolutely.
Let's kick it off, Jen. Of course, let's talk about the arrival. Now, you actually booked this ahead of time, like way back when, whether they first opened it up to booking.
Yes.
Your price was somewhere between 5 and 6 overall, correct, for the two of you?
Okay, it was $5,200. I mean, it's not like a secret.
Yeah.
It was $5,200 for the two
what
of us.
category room did you have? I mean, I know there's like 4 or 5 categories.
So now I booked. It was okay. So first Club 33 could book, and then it was annual pass and DVC. So I called and I booked, which I'm both, but I did not want to use my points. So I used my annual pass, and I used that availability to get us a reservation. At that point, the only thing I could get, because I wanted to go on an early sailing. Right. So the only thing available was a standard cabin. I had thought about getting a suite, but I was like, okay, no, that's fine. So got a standard cabin, which I don't know how you want me to start, but that is when I booked, and I can tell you all about the cabins and all about the
That's
the
fine. We'll
things
get to the
as we
cabins.
go.
We talked about the booking. We know what room you're booking. I want to kind of lead off too with the arrival. Like how it looked. I've heard some great things. The very entrance is great, but once you get into the entrance to the building itself, it's kind of like, expect a little bit more. Various things, or whatever. The crowds. Kind of walk us through the arrival, the parking, all of that.
Got you. So we did drive. We rented a car and we drove. It is valet parking only there, I will say.
Now, you flew to Orlando and then
we
drove
flew to Orlando.
Okay, you didn't drive from Amish country. Got it. So
no, we did not. No. We flew into Orlando. We rented a car. We stayed over just at the airport that night, and then we rented a car the next morning. So here's the thing: for the arrival for the Starcruiser, you can begin arriving at 11 a.m., but you cannot get in until 1 p.m. The earliest they are letting you in is 1 p.m. If you arrive at 11, they'll park your car for you. No problem. They'll hold your bags. They are going to put you on a bus, and they're going to take you to Disney Springs. Okay. Little excursion. You can go chill out at Disney Springs, whatever, but you are not getting on the Starcruiser before 1 p.m. Knowing this, we just timed our arrival. So we arrived around 12:45. We were waiting in a line. There's a security gate as usual. Pull up. Of course, there are, we'll call them like valets, basically. There are folks with the Chandrila Star Line. That is, of course, the name. That's who operates the Galactic Starcruiser. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Right. Chandrila Star Line.
Chandrila Star Line. Okay.
Yeah. They're helping you. They're getting the bags, just like you would if you're pulling up to a Walt Disney World Resort hotel. You know, they're going to help you with those things. Asking about, making sure you have a reservation, et cetera, et cetera. At that point, there was a line. This reminded me, I know why they're calling this a cruise. It is just like a cruise terminal. And I've done cruising before. So where people are lined up to get in, to get their documents scanned, like on a cruise ship, that's what you do. You walk through, you're waiting in a line. The terminal is like the terminal's fine. You know, it might be a beautiful terminal. It might have some lovely elements, but it's a cruise terminal. Right. You're waiting to get on the ship.
You're not expected to stay in the lobby longer than you have to. You're ready to go.
Correct.
Get on.
You're there for a very specific purpose, and then you're going to the ship itself. That's not the feature piece. So, but when we pulled up, it was beautiful. The outside facade was really nice, some nice landscaping. It was interesting. There was a mixture of people being in character and people in just street clothes. We came in street clothes. I'd kind of done my makeup to some degree, but we were just wearing like jeans and t-shirts, the very basics. But you did see some people full out in costumes. I'm talking. I
saw some pictures. Yep, I saw some Ahsoka, which was pretty awesome.
Yes, so, there were a couple of Ahsoka. There were some people. I'm just all the different characters. We had. All the different species of characters.
I'm not going to expect you to remember a lot of the species and characters.
And I'm not going to remember all.
I am.
No, I'm good with some of them, but I can't even tell you all.
Did you see any Twi'leks? Did you see any Ugnaughts?
Oh no, I did see Twi'leks.
Oh,
I know what Twi'leks. Oh no, I did see Twi'leks.
Got it. Very cool.
Yeah, for sure there were those. But I will say when we pulled up, we got, we were directed into the line and we were handed a bag with our name on it. And inside the bag were our data pads. Now, data pads, it's a cell phone. It's an
iPhone. iPhones, yes.
But it's special.
Space
and
phones. Yep.
Space phones, right? And the only thing installed is the Play Disney app, which of course is where you can utilize the data pad that you can use in Galaxy's Edge. You can use, for all over the parks, really.
Of course.
And with like all of the instructions for setup, but because it is the adventure really utilizes that data pad, and it keeps you from getting distracted if you're not on your real phone. So
Right.
it was nice though that they were handing out those devices to everybody pre-programmed, like the cameras. You couldn't use the cameras. You couldn't use anything else on it. So like while you're in line, we just kind of got ours set up, ready to go. They're in otter boxes. And they give you the chargers to make sure that you can keep them charged up while you are in space.
Fuel rods or just regular chargers?
No, like the plug into the wall kind of.
Okay.
Now we always have fuel rods and backup.
Did you have to sign something for that, or did you just assume like here's the thing, don't break it, don't ruin it,
here you go.
Whatever?
Yep.
Okay.
They just gave it to you, and you're like, okay. I mean,
wonder what the
obviously
protocols
you return
are on
it
if somebody decided to keep that or walk away with it or whatever.
Oh, I'm sure they get charged. Because, I mean, you do have to check them back out. Like they hand them to you on arrival.
And I'm sure they will shut them off if you like within if you drive 5 miles.
Well, they have
away,
no cellular. They have no cellular service.
Gotcha.
I mean, it could only be used on Wi-Fi anyway. So it was very limited what you could do with them, which obviously was by design. So then you're right. You walk into the terminal and it is just gray stone walls, and as well as, of course, bag check. Guess what? You have bag check at a cruise ship too, but you do have to go through security, walk through, and then it got backed up a little bit. We probably waited in the hall for a solid 20 minutes, and we figured out why though, because there is a safety briefing up at the front with a screen.
Okay.
So there's a little safety briefing, kind of tell you about what you're going to experience,
right?
But they would do it in small groups, so you just had to wait. And of course, we were there right at the beginning where it was already backed up. I mean, if had we arrived later, we wouldn't have waited that long, but we're excited. What are you going to do? At that point, you get on a transport. This transport, you board, and you can see the windows high up, and you can see the treetops. You can see the Florida weather.
Of course.
And then suddenly you blast off into hyperspace, and you feel the transport moving, and then the doors open and you are on the Starcruiser. You're on the Halcyon.
Is it an effect similar to, I say effect, is it a real thing, similar to the Space 220 elevator, or like what you kind of, the sensation you feel when you're in Rise of the Resistance, when you're aboard the transport going?
So that, honestly, I don't know that the transport actually really moved all that much. That particular one, there are some that use those effects. Okay. But in this particular one, I don't think. It's just it's the function to get to one side to the other. Yeah. Okay. So I could be wrong. Okay. And so you enter and you are in the atrium. The atrium is the 6th floor of the Starcruiser. And you are in there, and I walked out. I was like, what? And you see the bridge off to your left, which is where the captain pilots from, of course. And you've got these cool technological features, a gift shop. Because cruise lines always have gift shops where you can purchase shirts with the Star Line. You can purchase jewelry.
Like you have on now. Yep.
I mean, if you're on YouTube, you can see some of it. We may have done a lot of shopping.
Of course you did.
Yep. But you can only get it there. You can only get this stuff if you're on the Starcruiser.
I still contend, and this is not me being negative, but I still contend some of the stuff you saw only there, you're going to see it like Keystone Clothiers in Hollywood, like in June. They're going to
possibly,
be a section of
but
stuff.
I don't think like something. I don't think they're going to put the branded
specific,
shirts.
What you got on now, maybe not, but like maybe some small merchandise, some toys or whatever you're going to be able to see.
Maybe some mugs or something.
That's just what Disney does. It's like Toy Story Land. You can only get this in Toy Story Land. 3 months later, oh look, there's the Buzz exclusive to Toy Story Land in front of the park now for sale. It's just, I see. Yeah. Thanks, JPEG. Yeah.
But anyway, so you walk in and you are met by a cast member, who is a representative of the Star Line. They are telling you all about what to expect. They're showing you, if you need data pad training, you can meet with us here. If you need to know where the things on the ship are, you can go meet with us here. Here's a map. They're pointing out the different things to you. He escorted us to our room, which of course was ready, because that's how they plan it. And that's what happens on cruise ships too. By the time they allow you on the ship, you can go to your stateroom. Now, here's what's interesting. You get on the elevator, and of course there are stairs as well. We went down to our room. So
interesting.
Now everyone's like, oh, so Brady's like, so that means this is all underground.
Interesting. Okay.
So, but when you think about it, it doesn't matter. There's no windows. You're in space. You're in space. So let's talk about the room, right? Because so the rooms, also cool. You have data bands as well. Sorry, M bands. They're called M bands. They're special Galactic Starcruiser M bands.
Of course.
You use it to tap the door open, and then the door It slides open and you see this stateroom. I was impressed with how large it was.
It looked pretty big, actually.
Considering, like it was just a standard cabin. So I was expecting it to be small. No, it's not like it was ginormous, but they utilized the space so well. There was like a vanity mirror and like a very well lit off to the one side. Off to the left was the bathroom area, which had the toilet separated from the shower, which is always a good thing, with a nice amount of space. Interesting note, they had like a little toiletry kit with makeup remover wipes, which makes so much sense because normally you don't get those at a hotel.
Yeah.
But if you are doing heavy makeup if you're becoming a Twi'lek for the day,
face paint, makeup, things like that, that makes total. That's really kind of fun. That is a magical touch that I don't think you get in most places.
I was shocked. I was shocked because I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's already makeup wipes here and like special face cleanser. So I'm like, this is okay. They really thought ahead because people were going to be wearing makeup. So then you walk in, it is a queen size bed. So it's not a king size bed. And then there were 2 bunk beds against the wall. It looked like the window into outer space.
So small in pictures, but I saw the pictures where you're a good 5'8".
Yep.
Very comfortably laying out on that bed,
comfortably stretching
very
out.
Comfortably stretching out. So they're actually like really big beds. I didn't realize they were that big.
They're adult size beds.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's
like
very
4
cool.
adults could easily have slept in that room.
Yeah,
no big deal.
I would totally get a bunk. This look fun.
So we took naps in the bunk.
Are they twin size or are they queen size in that bunk? They look like twin.
It's a twin size, but it must be an extra long because it's, obviously I could stretch out. And they had these little, I called it a sleep pod. It was like a sleeping bag. So
and it's such good use of space too. The space too.
It's fantastic.
Really yeah.
It was a great use of the space. And then they had underneath the quote window, you could pull out a table from the wall. And there were 2 little stools you could pull out that also had storage. There's also storage under the bed.
Nice.
And then right in front of you was another screen, like your quote TV, which will operate as a TV. Why are you operating as a TV? You're on the Starcruiser. I'm just saying, but why are you operating as a TV?
What's happening on Earth? Click, click.
Like, I don't care what's happening on Earth right now. I'm in the Starcruiser. But it said welcome Novotny family. And then you have a little portal off to the side where you can communicate with one of the robots from the ship. Now I'm not going to give spoiler alerts on that, but they pointed out as soon as you walk in, and if you have a flashing orange light, you have a message basically. Okay. And so that's a little bit of interaction that you can do. And that's fun. So we got unpacked, got ourselves in character, and then we went out to explore the ship.
Did you give yourself character names or were you just like Jenn and Brady?
No, we were just Jenn and Brady. But we were just, we were kind of themed. And we just started walking around, seeing what there was to see, checking out the gift shop, of course, getting our bearings. We did go to eat immediately, which the dining room was on deck 4, which is where we were staying. Okay. That was nice. And the dining room is the dining room for everything. So it's a buffet breakfast, a buffet lunch, and then a sit down dinner. It transitions. Okay. So the food was all space themed and it was really, really interesting. I know you saw some of the photos. We posted some photos. If you go to my story, you'll see a ton of food photos. Actually, I need to pin that story. Come to think of it. Okay. I'll do that. I will do that after this episode.
You will. So by the time you guys hear it, it'll be pinned.
But yeah, right. There's like a little tray that had little sections and each of the food items, it would fit right into the tray. So they were like rectangular things. It would fit in so that you could carry them over. And of course you could have somebody to serve you your beverages. They did have blue milk there on demand. Blue milk on demand. You just go up and get your blue milk. That's awesome. I would have your green milk. I don't like green milk. So
was it any different than what you get in the parks in Galaxy's Edge?
You mean the blue milk?
Yeah, blue milk.
I know like
in Oga's is slightly different than the kiosk outside.
It was the Oga's version, not the kiosk version.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It was because it wasn't the frosty frozen kind.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But just everything had a Star Wars type name. So if you were having beef, you were having bantha. Yes. So you have bantha seared bantha. You're not having chicken, you're having tip yip. So it was just interesting. And the food was surprisingly good. And what's funny is before I walked on, I saw an article and I don't even remember which publication put it out. And they were like, something about the food looking great, but not being that tasty. So I kind of had this in my head, like, well, maybe it's, I won't go in with high expectations. Yeah. But then it was great. So I was like, are you just trying to get headlines? Like, I'm just asking because this is good, for that. So walking around the ship, you start to see characters but you're not quite sure yet what's happening, but you eventually, you have different times where everybody is to gather together in the atrium. And that's where your data pad comes into handy. It gives you the daily schedule. It has things highlighted in orange. You want to be at those things because that is going to further the storyline. You are actually taking part in this story. You get to decide how you take part in the story. Brady and I both took part in the story in slightly different ways. We followed a similar track, but we could have done completely divergent tracks and had totally different things. And I'm talking, you could be supporting the First Order. You could be supporting the Resistance. You might be somebody who goes to the highest bidder.
How do you make that distinction? Like, do they give you an assignment? You pick, if you do this, then that means your First Order. If you do that, that means your Resistance. Or how did that come about in terms of which way you're leaning?
So on your data pad, there is a spot for conversations. So have you ever played in the line of Millennium Falcon? Have you ever done the
I have not. I know what you're talking about, but I have not.
Okay. So if you've done that, it's similar to there where like Hondo will come up and have a thing like, well, I need you to do this. And you press your answer that you're given like 4 answers and you choose whichever one to answer. Okay. Based on how you answer and interact with those characters on the data pad will determine which path you end up being on.
Okay.
So, and it's pretty obvious. Like if you pick this one, you're aligning with the rebellion.
Right.
If you pick this one, you're aligning with the First Order. But then they do usually give you a couple of other options, which could leave you open either way.
Right.
So early on at 4:00, you have your muster drill. That is mandatory, just like it would be on a cruise ship. It is mandatory. You are assigned into 4 stations. Auric, Besh, Kresh, and I don't remember the one that starts with a D, but I remember I was Besh. So I remember Besh. And see the cruise director up there. You meet a droid, SK. You meet the captain, Captain Keegan. You meet a couple of other, you meet a ship's mechanic and a few other things. And then you see them walking around, interacting with you in the atrium. Fantastic. It was maskless. Like everyone, like you're literally just interacting with these characters.
Right.
Okay. They sort of preface the whole event. Some things transpire and you find out that this is the 275th anniversary of, of the ship and of the Star Line. And so you're going to be going out and this is a big celebration. Some unexpected things end up happening.
Which anniversary is that? I'm sorry.
275th.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Hold on to that number because I have some nerddom coming up for you after we're done discussing. Yes.
Okay.
So that's an important figure. So yeah.
Yeah. You are, they're like, here was our original star compass, and here is, going through all of this. The First Order becomes involved. And then you're like, okay, but we're all going to enjoy this cruise together. Okay, that's fine. And, the First Order's accusing everybody of having resistance on the ship. Blah, blah, blah.
Of course.
Whatever. Let's go to dinner. Okay, but there are 2 seatings for dinner. So just depending, you might be on the early seating. I was on the later seating. And so you might be going during the first seating, you might have something else to do. So one of the things you get to do is bridge training. That means you get to go learn how to drive the ship at the 4 different stations of the ship. So during first dining, Brady and I got to go have our 20-minute bridge training with a group of people. Okay. And then throughout the time, if you're not doing anything else, if you're not interacting on your data pad or doing a mission that's part of that, it's cool because you can walk up to the atrium and get snacks. and also interact with some of the characters. So you might run into the captain. You might run into some of the other characters you meet along the way. It was really exciting for me because Gaia was there. I got to meet with her a little bit. And Gaia is an intergalactic superstar. And she so graciously gives a concert on the first night.
I think I've seen the pictures of her.
Yes. She is. This is like legit. You know, I'm a musician, right?
Of course. I'm picky. Yep.
Okay. She was legitimately wonderful. She was really good. All original music and just really well done during dinner. So you're eating dinner, watching the concert. And then you would see Gaia and her accompanist out in the, on the atrium. They'd interact with you and you could get autographs with Gaia, things like that.
Now, just to step out of the magic just for a second, just so the audience knows, these are not just, they're cast members, but these are equity actors. Like they have auditioned, they are performing. These are actors performing. This isn't just, okay, well, I'm at Space Mountain, but I'm due to be at Halcyon tomorrow. It's actually like, this is an acting troupe they have put in place to do these things. So when you have somebody who can sing, this is not just a cast member who can sing. This is somebody that's been contracted and hired for this purpose to sing this great song.
To sing, exactly.
Back in the magic, Gaia was awesome.
Yes, so Gaia was awesome. And they were good with the food allergies. Brady, of course, has some allergies. So the servers would come up to you, and you don't have assigned seats at dinner time. They just escort you in and put you in a seat. So the servers, they would check your names and be like, okay, I see there's an allergy, who has the allergy? Because they wanted to make sure that you are obviously safe and, taken care of. So, but everything was really great in the dining room. The first night was a bit of, there were like dumplings or spiral dumplings, and it's a sample of everything. So you don't order from the menu. They are bringing you a little bit of everything. So let's call it family style, like you would experience maybe at like Garden Grill or Liberty Tree.
Right.
You're getting a little bit of everything. And it was fantastic. And I will just say during dinner, you always still want to pay attention because there are things that happen that further the storyline. Now you can take as much part in the storyline as you want, but it's more interesting if you take part in the storyline. I was
gonna say, if you're paying that much, at least be a little bit of part of the
story.
Try
to be part of the storyline.
Try to be part of the story if you can. You don't have to run all night doing all sorts of. You can just dip your toe in the water, be a part of the story if you can. So
exactly.
But it's your money. You can just go to.
But
observe,
it's your money, exactly.
And did you have the blue shrimp?
I did, absolutely. That was the second night. That was the second night.
Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. So the first night, like I said, was more, and we did have seared bantha the first night, as well as some sweet and sour tip yip.
Love it. Yep.
I don't remember there was a sampler of desserts as well. It was very, very good. And the coffee was really good. Also, I'm just going to point out that space coffee is important. After hours, and we had the late seating, you can stay out the atrium, and there's a little lounge. It's called the Sublight Lounge. That is where you can learn Sabacc, the game. Cards and dice game. Yeah, card and dice game. You can learn Sabacc. There is a Sabacc table in the center. They have Sabacc all around the lounge, and they do give lessons on how to play. In fact, they do a Sabacc tournament the second day on the Starcruiser if you would choose to take advantage. That's open till like 1.
I think that's how Han won the Millennium Falcon from Lando in Solo.
Yes.
Solo, a Star Wars story movie. I believe playing.
No, you're right.
So I think.
Yeah. So that's where Sabacc is, and isn't that where Han always accuses Chewie of cheating at Sabacc, doesn't he?
Maybe I know he's the chess game with the characters and stuff. I know that's one game that they play a lot, but I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but regardless, there is a Sabacc table. It's just really neat. It's themed beautifully in there. So, and you can go in there and you can get you can get, mocktails, cocktails, whatever in there and like eats. So you're late at night, it's like midnight, snack, you want a snack? They have these like, what do they call them? It's potato chips, but they're not called potato chips. It's like,
they call them space chips,
tuber chips, or
space tater chips.
That. And they have a lot of just of like really yummy food there as well. So that was day 1. you go to sleep, and you don't worry, you can shut the curtains on your the virtual curtains on the outside, because space can be bright at night.
Yeah, what are you seeing at your window?
You see
What are you seeing
whenever
at the window?
occasionally you jump to hyperspace, and you see when that happens, you see meteors, you might see star fields, you might see other galaxies passing by, little satellites.
Do you see like space anything go by or anything, or
see anything? See what
I
go
really
by?
wish. I was gonna say, do you see spaceships go by or anything like that?
I didn't really see like spaceships. I would see like little satellites and other things go by out the window, but not like full out spaceships.
They and Space 220 had coordinated where you could see like an X7 from Mission Space going through, or maybe like on the Halcyon, maybe as it's lifting off, you see the Space 220 restaurant right there to your right as you're going. I feel like I wish there was some symmetry
that would be
between
fun.
those, connecting the worlds. That would be great.
Although, I mean, to be fair, like we were out running around a lot, so maybe at some point it does show
That's
back.
true.
I mean, I just might not have seen it.
That's true. Next time, just go and stay in the room the entire time. That's what you need to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the day 2, we grabbed breakfast, and the exciting part about day 2 is you get to have an excursion to Batuu, and of course the Black Spire outpost. Not what most Star Wars folks are used to. Batuu, apparently the Starcruiser folks, because this is an outer planet, really. So they have a climate simulator to get you used to the warmth of
course
of Batuu, and then
of the Florida planet. Yes.
This was interesting. So you have to get on a transport to get there.
Right.
That you are escorted. You are given a pin, and that pin designates that you are a passenger of the cruise line. And when you are escorted to your transport, they close the doors. You see absolutely nothing other than the inside of the transport. Let's take away the magic. It's a Disney bus. I only know because I know what a Disney bus feels like. Would I know?
Right.
Never, no clue what the outside of that bus looks like.
Activating undocking sequence now.
Copy that.
And for your safety, please remain seated throughout your voyage. Hold on to the handrails with your hands, tentacles, and other appendages. And please supervise your younglings. Thank you. Bright suns, passengers. Welcome aboard the Batuu transport. I am J6F8, and I'll be your pilot for this short journey.
All I know is the inside of the transport was magical, and you're just sitting there. It's very short ride.
I've seen pictures. It's like a big truck or some like transport truck of some sort. I mean, obviously it has to be safe and everything, but but I mean, basically it comes off as a bus, which is cool. So it looks like it's just a plain white transport with seats. And
I have no idea what the outside looks like.
I mean,
no inside.
But I mean, like on the inside,
completely themed. It looks like you are in a transport. Awesome. Like
I love that.
It is not even white on the inside. It's like grays and yeah. And then
that is great. I love it.
They open the doors, and you are back into something that looks like the terminal that you entered into to get into the Starcruiser, but instead it takes you out into Batuu. Do you know where? I call it the back of Batuu, where they have where the First Order comes out a lot and the Stormtroopers stand. It's like right across from the Blue Milk stand. Right opposite of that is where you come out.
Okay.
And they have a little concierge in there to take care of anything you might need. If there's an issue with your attraction passes, or if there's an issue with anything, or if you do something like build lightsabers, which Brady and I built lightsabers, they will get those back to your room for you. You don't have to walk around with them. And they have water throughout the day so that you don't have to purchase water because it's included with the Starcruiser, and you can just go in there and rest, take a load off, but you have to have a pin to access it, of course. So from there you come out. I will say that it ties into the storyline for you to access Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
Or to access Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
Cast members will interact differently depending on whether or not you're wearing a pin, because they see the pin. We got to pilot the Millennium Falcon, which was, of course, fun. We did pretty well. We did pretty well getting our coaxium. We only had some minor damages. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. And then we had various missions going around Batuu. Now, let's be real. You could have left and gone and rode Slinky Dog or do something else, but you have to be back on board the ship by 4 p.m.
Right. But you could have left the
stayed in
park, though,
Batu.
right? You could have just hopped on a bus or gone to Epcot if you really wanted to.
I mean, I
correct?
suppose you.
I mean,
No,
you would
no, no,
want
no.
to, or
No, 'cause you
you're
don't
not
have
allowed to.
admission. You wouldn't have admission.
Right. That's right. You'd have it. You're right.
You only
You're
have
right.
admission
yeah.
to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
So no.
Okay.
So no, you
don't have
cannot.
this is not a park hopper pass.
This is not a
just
park
relax.
hopper pass. Nope.
That makes
you were
sense.
just in
Okay.
Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
So, and we just stayed in Batu. You also do get food. So,
Mhm.
because you can't mobile order with a credit, but they had like a special place and they know that you have like limited time. So
Right.
we ate at Docking Bay 7 because we had never
Okay.
eaten there. Although we could have eaten at Ronto Roasters as well.
Now,
So
as far
that
as
was a nice vibe.
Lightsaber and Ogas go, you guys didn't have to call ahead in 60 days to get reservations like everybody else does, but you did have to make your reservation. Like you had a reservation, you just had to set the time up, correct?
Yes. And you do that through the Starcruiser because they
Okay.
will make sure that it fits into your schedule with
Gotcha.
everything
and you
else
still
you
have
have.
to pay for the Saber and pay
Oh
for
yeah,
Ogas.
that's not
Gotcha,
included.
not
Yeah,
free,
that's
but
not
you're
free.
not given the hassle of like, okay, I have to get online 60 days ahead of time at 5 a.m. Try to
Right.
get to get sold out. Like you're guaranteed a spot if you want it. You just have to call the
Yes.
Starcruiser and say, hey, we want to go to Ogas at 2. Let's do lightsabers at 2:45. I mean, that's or
Yeah,
it's
but I
available.
don't like. I didn't even specify that. I was just
Oh, they
like,
just give
okay,
you a time. Okay.
when can we get
Got it.
lightsabers?
Okay. That makes
Okay, well,
sense.
how about a 10:45? Okay, that's fine. And then they
Perfect. Okay.
schedule your transport to make sure you're there in time
Okay. Perfect.
to do everything.
Okay.
And then we had our lightsaber training at 3:30, so we had to make sure that we took a transport back to
Mhm.
be ready for our lightsaber
Now, are
training.
the
at
transports
3:30.
running like every 20, 30 minutes? So like if it's the middle of the day and you're like,
Yeah, they were
pretty.
pretty.
Can you? Okay.
They were pretty continuous.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted to go back and come back in, you could. But I
Okay.
think most people just would. They stayed for the day. When they were done, they
Right. Okay.
they went back.
Makes sense.
And so that's when like we went back in time to take a nap, kind of freshen up, and then go to our lightsaber training.
Okay.
So, which is really cool.
I'm sure it is. It looks cool. It looks very cool.
Training
so.
sabers, like you have all this
Uh-huh.
stuff, and they do such a good job. The Sashas do such a great job of interacting with everybody.
Your picture with a lightsaber is super cool, and I'm like, why is
Thank
Jen not
you.
making this her profile picture? I mean, like that picture is,
Oh,
is
actually.
really, really cool. You look great. The outfit looks great. The lightsaber looks great. Like the whole picture, the whole mystique of that
Yeah.
picture looks fantastic. And I'm like, I want to make that my profile picture. Except that's really creepy. It just looks that cool. I'm like, it needs to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that.
We loved, and I had never done the lightsaber building, so I'm like, okay, this is an excuse to do it, and it was great. So mine is the Peace and
Right.
Justice lightsaber, of course, purple, because why not?
Right. Right.
Brady built a blue lightsaber, the protection and defense lightsaber. So
Now, shout out to our friends I Am Geek, and of course, our good
Yes.
friend Ryan. He makes the lightsabers. You get a Kyber crystal that goes.
Yes.
And depending on what you do, kind of leads the theme of your lightsaber. He makes those, and they fit
Yes.
appropriately into lightsabers. They're all sorts of different themes. He's done Marvel. He's done princesses. He's done whatever, and he makes those Kyber crystals. And we'll put something in the show notes. I'll write that down. That you
Yeah,
can click
we
on
should.
a link for him to go to his page to do that. Because if you
For
want
his
to purchase
Etsy
Kyber
shop.
crystals for something different, you could bring your own and say, I'm building a lightsaber. Here's my Kyber crystal. And so definitely want to shout out to Ryan because he does such a great job.
and then you
I've
can
seen-
interchange them. So
yeah.
like mine's purple right now,
Yeah.
but I could get a different one, and I
like
could.
when last time I met him, actually when I met him for the first time in real life, he showed up to this conference we were at with a little cylinder, and it looked like Star Wars. It went opened up, and there's like Kyber crystals in there, and I'm like, this is so nerdy. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And just it was so, and he puts it back in there. It was great. It was really, really cool. So anyway,
No,
shout out
like-
to Ryan, and we'll put a link on there. So
And it was great because like I am a little nerdy and I'm fine with it. Like, but I got to nerd out the whole time, and everybody is in character, David.
yes,
Everybody
I love
is
that.
in character.
I love
Like
it.
everybody is just furthering it, and nobody cares that everybody is like, yeah, I'm a nerd. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
all of you are.
Well,
you're
for the
all
cost of this
nerds.
though, like, why would you go? Like, let's just say you got dragged to Disney World with your family. You didn't really want to come.
Right.
And you're there. You're Port Orleans,
Right.
Riverside. You paid all the money. You're in the parks. You're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. Why do I have to be here? Well,
Right.
I don't like it, but I get it. Whatever.
Right.
You paid good money for a very hard reservation to get.
Yes.
Why would you get there and complain about the expense or whatever? Why
Right.
would you not get there and just enjoy it? Otherwise, don't go. Otherwise,
Then don't go.
stay at Port
Right.
Orleans or whatever, All Star or whatever, because this is one of those tight experiences
Yeah.
that's very hard to get, very hard to reserve.
Mhm.
You're paying a lot of money for. So I would imagine everybody there wants to be there, and if you
Yeah,
want
everybody
to be there,
wants
you're going
to
to
be
be
there.
into it, which
Exactly.
is really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. How much did Brady get into this? Like, was he like you? You guys both kind of nerding out a little bit here and there, or
Yeah. So Brady he likes Star Wars. I mean, he grew up watching the movies. So
Of course.
he was excited for it. Brady got into it as much as, like, he's not going to dress quite as much as me,
Right.
but he did.
Right,
he
right.
had his themed outfits. He
I saw the outfit. That's
absolutely
cool.
100% took part in everything. He loved it.
Love
He
it.
was in it to win it. He
Mhm.
interacted with the characters. He loved the face-to-face interactions more
Mhm.
so than the data pad interactions, because that's just how he is.
Right.
But which he still did the data pad interactions. But the cool thing is there are things as you get into your path that become more and more specific
Okay.
to drive along the storyline, and it's going to be different. And it's funny, we stumbled into some other people's paths at some point just because we were doing something else, and it's like, wait, what's this?
Of course.
Oh wait, I don't think we're supposed to be here. Oh well, let's watch anyway. But it was really neat. I will say this, he says he will do it again.
Okay.
So that,
well,
and
that
we
of course
can
leads
go
us
more
to the
into
question.
yeah.
Is it worth it? That's what, and I honestly, not going, I have an answer ready for that, but I want to hear your answer. You're the one that wrote the check for $5,200 for 2 nights for a Star Wars experience. Is it worth it?
Yes.
From your perspective.
From my perspective, and this is, again, I'm not being paid to say this.
Mhm.
And we don't want people to spend money and have an experience that they're not going to like.
Right. Right.
If you have the expendable income to do so, and if you have a desire and you like Star Wars, 100, and honestly, even if you're just a casual fan of Star Wars, you don't even have to be a geek.
Right.
Okay. You can be like, I liked the movies.
Mhm.
Okay. Now if you're like someone who, I hate Star Wars, I think that's terrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is
like,
not for you.
okay, this is not for you.
But why would you go if that's the case?
Right. Literally, like, why would you even try to do that? It was absolutely worth the money. So here's how the breakdown is. And Brady and I talked about this, and I think he maybe said this in a chat with some of you guys too. If you just look at the food experiences alone, okay, you're at multi-course meals.
Right.
So
right.
both days, multi-course meals per person for something like that, I would say would be at a minimum of $150 to $200 a person to do those sort of meals, just wherever. If you're going to Pittsburgh or you're going to, well, maybe not Pittsburgh, but
right. Yeah.
They're, again, multi-course meals with like filet mignon. Okay. That's not cheap. And then the second day we actually bantha filet. Let's be, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Let's get it right.
The second night was even more courses, including blue shrimp. Okay. Where the presentation, everything was absolutely on point. Plus all of the extras going around, the constant snacks, over the sublight lounge, being able to get food whenever. The only thing not included really is alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
So you could walk away from the Starcruiser having spent absolutely nothing aside from what you put into it to get there. You don't need to purchase food. You don't need to purchase anything to drink. You don't have to purchase souvenirs. I don't know why you wouldn't purchase souvenirs, but you don't have to purchase the souvenirs. And throughout this day, there are some magical touches that you weren't expecting to receive that you end up with. Also, the experience itself, how do you put a number on that? This is unique. You're not getting this anywhere else. Where else can you say, I've been to space for 2 days?
I've been to Star Wars for 2 days. And that's That's one thing too. It's one of those, in my opinion, where, and I say this about a lot of things too, when people ask me, is it worth the money to stay here, whatever. If you have the money to spend, it's worth it. If you are comfortable spending this money, if you're comfortable spending $169 for Memory Maker, then I think you should get it. If you're not comfortable spending it, then don't take a mortgage out to go stay at a hotel that you can't really afford to. Don't do that.
No, not at all.
Like you have to do this. It's great if you can, if you're comfortable with it. Because I was thinking, if you stayed somewhere like, a Grand Floridian, like a Grand Suite or something, for 2 nights, plus you added on Victoria and Albert's, and you added on maybe the California Grill, it's in your little table, plus your park tickets, you're talking
plus the park
$5,000 right there for 2 people.
Right. Plus your expedited attraction entrances.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So you're paying for it already.
Plus your experiences on board. Your lightsaber training, your bridge, like that's not something you're getting, going downtown wherever you live. So
two more things, and before we kind of close the conversation on this part, the spoiler-free part. One, how did the story end? Like the finale, you don't have to give spoilers.
Okay, no, I won't give any spoilers.
Gave a resolution,
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead with that. Like, how did the night end with the resolution of the whole?
So right.
For you?
So after the second night dinner, you all do get called back. Everybody ends up in the atrium again, but that's the gathering place. So obviously, like that's if you're not in the dining room, you're going to be in the atrium. Basically,
Right.
I mean, it's one or the other for large gatherings, and whichever storyline you chose culminated in the atrium. And there is a wrap up. You end with there's the denouement, so to speak, if you're into the the literary terminology, where there is some surprise and delight, shall I say. There is some drama. And at the end of the day, everybody is cheering. And I will say this much. Brady said that finale was 100% worth every cent. He was extremely impressed with the finale. As was I. I did not see that ending how it ended.
It's a great show, basically. It's a great show. Okay, very cool. All right, so and we'll get to maybe more specifics in that in just a few minutes. We do a few minutes of spoilers after the show. Last thing, debarkation. When the thing was over the next morning, was it easy? Was it hard? How did you get out? Was it just
super easy. So pack up. They give you tags in your stateroom. So like when we got back, we had quote checked 4 bags when we checked in. So they gave us 4 tags to put on our bags, put them outside the door. Went back in, brushed my hair, I don't know, threw some stuff in my carry-on, walked back out, the luggage was gone. They'd already had it off. We went to breakfast, could just like sort of walk around for the last minute. You can either grab breakfast in the dining room or in the sublight lounge. They have like grab and go, like continental breakfast with coffee. Obviously coffee. So we went to the dining room, hung out. You have to be off by 10. It is a hard 10 a.m.
because they have to get that thing ready for everybody else coming in. So that makes sense.
So it was easy though. Whenever you're ready to disembark, and they will say like, okay, it's time to starting at 9:00. They're like, okay, it's time to disembark. Try to get people out.
Get out, please.
Like, okay. So you get your little data pads, you hand them back to the representative. They just make sure they like mark down who you are. They put you back in the transport to go back to Florida. And so it's kind of the reverse. You hyperspace and then you see the Florida trees. You walk out through the terminal you entered through. They have your luggage right there. They'll pull up your car if you valeted. And out you go.
And you went out. You guys checked in over at what, Beach Club, Boardwalk?
Boardwalk. We went to the Boardwalk.
Very cool. Very cool. Back on Earth.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Back on Earth. Yeah.
Love that. This sounds fantastic. I want to do it. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait for you as the owner, send us to go because, us agents have to know it too. So I'm excited about, you writing a check for everybody, so which is really exciting. So very cool. Yeah. So that is the Galactic Starcruiser. Like we've said before, at the end of the show, after the credits are over, we will come back just for a minute or two. And I want to kind of hear more about the finale, kind of some of the surprises that happened. And that's the spoiler talk that if you didn't want to hear spoilers, you don't have to listen to that part. So
right. Exactly.
I'm going in a few weeks. I'm real excited to make sure you follow along with me online at The Magic on $8 on Instagram. And, of course, Magic on $8 and Disney on $8 on Facebook. Right now, we are in the midst of the Magical Movie Madness 2022, where I take over 120 films, put them in a big bracket. You vote on your favorites. They advance. Movies are like left behind, and one movie goes ahead, and just blah 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 into another bracket. And we come down to the Enchanted 8, and then the Fantastic 4, and then we have a championship. Lion King is the reigning champion, and we're talking this. This is something that I love doing every year because I get thousands and thousands of votes over the course of the weeks. Which right now we've already eliminated something like 40 films, like 10 movies have gone through already, and everything from Swiss Family Robinson to people are voting on right now Flight of the Navigator to both the live action and the regular Beauty and the Beast and whatever. So it's a great time. It really is a great time. So come be involved in that. Come vote on your favorites. And of course you can win surprises. Jen, where can we find you online?
You can find me at Upon a Star Jen, and my personal Instagram is at Jen_Novotny. And I'm going right now to pin that story.
Very cool. Go pin the story, and I will go into the show notes, and I will type in Ryan's link, so you can go get yourself some Kyber Crystals, guys.
Absolutely.
Great time on the show. Thank you for joining us. Also, one last thing before we go. I did want to mention this. We have a fan in Norway. We actually have a couple of fans overseas. I see the maps and everything, and I'm like, we have 4 people that listened in Poland, like 14 downloads from Australia.
That's awesome.
And just it's kind of fun. So this guy, I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. So I apologize to them because I don't know for sure, but the name is Gear Bergerden.
Gear, like Gear Ness.
Email me like, that's not how you say my name. Yes, Geir. Is that a male name?
Oh, Gear.
What?
Gear Ness is the one who does Layla in Norway.
I know, but this is not Gear Ness. This is a different Gear.
Well, I know it's not Gear Ness. I'm just saying.
So
same
we're
person.
switching gears here. Just giving you a thumbs up from an American Norwegian living in Norway. I have serious Disney cravings, but as the world is right now, it's not going to be doable right now. I started from episode 1, and since I drive deliveries, I go through quite a few episodes per day. I just finished 65 and started listening less than 14 days ago. He binged the entire thing.
Awesome, Gear, you're awesome. Oh my gosh!
I can't find a way to give you 5 stars on Spotify, but I would if I could. I enjoy your podcast, even if it doesn't have anything to do with my help for Disney Vacation. Episode 22 made me decide to watch the Marvel movies. I have not watched a single one and found the list over which movies to watch over the timeline. If I ever find money to stay on site, you're my travel planner. I love you guys, or even a Disney cruise. Please keep the podcast going. Regards, crazy Disney dad with 2 boys. So yeah, that's and actually he has actually emailed us twice. This is the first email, and I'll give the second one next time around. But yeah, this is the second email we've got from him. So really, really super nice. Thank you so much out there. And I just realized this is the older email that I saw from him from last year that I never got to. So we'll get to his next one. Tune in next week for another Norwegian email. We'll make that a segment.
Yay!
Letters for Norway. So very cool. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little Starcruiser recap, and stick around for the spoiler part of the show. Until then, guys, don't forget to thank your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.
All right, so we are back with our spoiler, and if I sound a little different, it's because my Wi-Fi kept going out, so now I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can understand me anyway. Jen's got me here. So we're going to talk a little bit about some spoilers in terms of Starcruiser. First, I did want to mention this, that the railroad has been out of action for 1,192 days. I wanted to make sure we kept track with that because I'm afraid that number is going to be way higher. But I'm hearing that Tron is on the way. It's getting they're on the fast track to getting it done. No pun intended, or pun intended if you like. But guys, from here, spoilers about the Starcruiser. So if you don't want to know anything, if you think you're going to go pretty soon, you don't want to know, or you just want to be surprised whenever you do get to go, just know that in 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So we'll talk about a little bit about how Kylo Ren shows up at the end at the big finale. So
yes.
So Jen, spoilers for you in terms of things that maybe you would not have wanted to know before you went. Some stuff, just some reveals, some surprises, some things that we need to know.
Right. So I think the first thing was it was the first night I was kind of thinking, and it was nothing. It just wasn't expected that suddenly Chewbacca shows up.
Yeah. Engineering. We have to get to the engineering. Okay. So we have a plan. It's called
and I don't want to say suddenly, like there's a whole thing behind it. And how I said to pay attention during meals and things like that is these characters will you will cause a distraction to sneak these characters through because you have to hide them from the First Order. Chewbacca's wanted. Like the First Order wants to arrest Chewbacca. So you might just be walking through the atrium and suddenly you're like, wait, oh my gosh, there's Chewbacca coming down the stairs. Oh, wait, what? Oh, we have to hide him from the First Order. Okay. So that was super interesting. During the first night, of course, he does get arrested. So that becomes interesting. And there's a whole storyline around that, as well as the droid SK. And that kind of, and I don't want to give spoilers, like tell you how it ends, or tell you exactly what this, but it is interesting to note that you do see your beloved Star Wars characters along the way. And they're great with interacting with the young Jedis, the younglings, if you will.
Of course, the younglings, the ones that Anakin didn't kill. Got it.
Exactly. The ones that Anakin didn't kill. And so like you might see like Chewie peeking around the corner and then you're like, oh my gosh, okay. So that was exciting the first night. You're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. All right, I like kind of start to see how this all works together. The second day, getting the pin was, and again, not really a spoiler, but that was something I wasn't expecting, so to speak. That was just not, so it was nice. It's like, oh, cool. And it's a nice little souvenir. Like, what the heck? This is pretty great. They also, the second night I did the captain's table, they had this beautiful round little medallion. This is the Halcyon and Galactic Starcruiser on the back. It's like a heavy, big old coin. So that was not expecting that at all. Throughout the second day, it would have been more dinner time. And again, they work it through where things are happening during dinner time. Like you have the First Order walking through, you can see the characters you've been interacting with. Like one is Gaia's manager. All right. Turns out Gaia's manager, he seems like a shady character, but he's working for the Resistance. Okay. So is Gaia. Really, you're coming to find all of this out. So you will see the different interactions happening in pods. And as we were waiting to go to dinner the second night, I'm not even joking. It was just, we were waiting. We were like, oh, okay, it's about dinner time, 5 minutes. Let's just go wait outside. And you see a couple of younglings and you see Rey peek around the corner and you're like,
oh, wow.
Rey is here? What? Okay. And they do such a good job. So it's like, they're visible, but like also hiding, like in plain sight. And it all comes back into play because at the end, you asked how it wraps up, right? Yes. So regardless of your storyline, regardless of where you're, who you're helping or whatnot, we're second seating. And suddenly the ship alarms goes off. And it's muster drill. We know what to do. You have to go back to the atrium. You have to go to your muster station. Okay. And you're sitting there and it's the emergency because of, everything is coming to a head basically.
Right.
And the captain makes a very impassioned speech against the First Order and it's beautiful. And then suddenly you get Kylo Ren and you get Rey and there is an epic lightsaber battle. And I'm talking freaking epic. The special effects blew my mind. Like the portion where from the movies where you're like getting force pulled and you're like how they pulled that off. Like I have an idea in my head of how they pulled that off. It happened. I watched it happen. Like it's all happening like right above our head.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. Things are happening like Kylo Ren's using the Force, a light's about to fall on your head, like things are happening. You've got the Sajas, like, the lightsaber trainers, they're like using the Force to protect their people in their, everybody's in their characters. Everybody's like the First Order supporters are like cheering for the First Order. You've got like the Jedi's cheering for Rey. Everyone's like, yeah, come on. And it was just like, what is happening? What is happening?
The Jedi have lost. The Resistance is shattered.
The whole time. Until, of course, it's always a happy ending, at least for the Resistance. And there are fireworks that you get to see. Well, I mean, not right inside, but
space fireworks.
There are some space fireworks that happen in celebration, and basically all's well that ends well. So I'm glad I didn't know that ahead of time because it was surprise and delight. But if you're someone who just wants to know how it ends up and you don't care about spoilers and you want to just like look forward to it, it was exciting to see how they tied all of the loose ends together and how they then had those well-known characters from the newer movies in there to interact and further along the story.
I knew Kylo was in the story. I knew that. I didn't know the lightsaber battle. I think that's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Love that. I think this is awesome. And it also makes me think too, like this concept. I know that people have kind of gone up and down about their opinions on it. Mostly people who haven't been, they're just reading stuff going, well, I heard, blah, blah, blah,
exactly.
And maybe some of it's valid, and I get that. Not everybody's going to have a great experience all the time. I get it.
100%.
But it makes me think that this type of concept, this type of immersive experience could be expanded to other things. Like right now I'm thinking, what if Disney landed a Marvel hotel like this?
Oh
where
my gosh.
where you stayed on the helicarrier. And there were different characters, and you were suddenly part of a story where maybe Thanos is gone, but some of the other villains were there. Maybe Loki comes to, he's trying to whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you have a little data pad. And you can choose whether to follow Loki or the Avenger. I mean, I could see something like that easily happening.
Absolutely.
Or a Pixar version of this where you're in a Pixar universe where, something. I think that's really cool. So one question that was brought up, my quasi-producer Heather, which I think is a great question, by the way. If you're there and you said, you're in space, but you need some fresh air. You're like, I've been in the building. I need some fresh air. Is there somewhere to go to kind of breathe some fresh air? Maybe a simulator of sorts? Where would you go?
The climate simulator.
Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome to the climate simulator. We will get you onto planet very shortly. Now, my name is Grace. I'm from Naboo. That's a mid-rim planet.
And that so that's what that actually is. So if the climate simulator, it's simulating where you're going to be on Batu. It's actually outside. So if you need to go fresh air, they have plants out there and like rock features and water and whatnot. And you can walk out and you do breathe the fresh air. Like you are outside at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All you can see is the sky really, but you're outside. So.
Right. I love it. This is great. Jenn, thank you for telling me about all of this. This is a lot talking on your part about everything. But guys, if y'all have questions, please reach out to us at the MSEpodcast.com. We're happy to, or gmail.com is our email. We're happy to answer any kind of questions we have about it. We're happy to send you here. I know things are booked up from now to like October, but things are popping up here and they're available, blah, blah, blah. We're happy to get you started on this particular thing as well. So yeah, anything else to add? Any final thoughts for the Starcruiser?
I think it was smart because the way they've designed it, it would be easy enough to change the experience in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I can totally see down the road where they adjust the storylines a little bit or change up how some of the things play out.
Yep.
It would be easy enough to do. So I think that it can be renewed. It can be like an evergreen experience. So
I think it would be so cool to have some sort of throwback experience for like a summer or a fall where they pull the original trilogy characters in, like the C-3PO, the R2-D2, the Darth Vader, the Boba Fett, especially with the Mandalorian now. I think, like for me, the new characters, they're okay. The new trilogy is just, people have very.
But we love the old characters.
Rise of Skywalker is trash, but other than that, the first two movies are okay. But having those original characters in there, even if you couldn't have Leia, Luke, or Han, but having the character would be tremendous. Would be fantastic. So I love that. So, all right, that's the episode, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let us know what you think. As always, listen, subscribe, and download to the Main Street Electrical Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next week.